Welcome everyone to today's deep dive. We are so glad to have you with us. Today, we're basically reverse engineering the cultural profile of this sprawling, neon-lit Chinese megacity.
Which, sounds like our usual MO, but we are doing it using a really unexpected source today.
Right. We are using a beginner's English travel dialogue. And I have to be honest, when I first looked at today's source material, this dialogue featuring two characters named Tom and Lily, my immediate reaction was, oh, wait, is this really valid?
Yeah, I get that. It definitely feels like an unconventional starting point for us. Normally, we're unpacking these dense sociological studies or, 80-page economic reports to understand a region.
Exactly, because this source is designed specifically for people who are just starting to learn English. So I was thinking, doesn't building a cultural profile from an ESL dialogue just give us this sanitized, tourist brochure version of a city?
It's a completely fair skepticism. But I actually think the limitation, the medium here, is its greatest strength.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. When curriculum creators are designing a lesson for absolute beginners, they have incredibly strict constraints, right? They might only have 50 words to work with for the entire module.
I see what you mean. They literally cannot afford to waste a single syllable on trivia or fluff.
Exactly. They're forced to curate only the most vital, just completely non-negotiable concepts that define the experience of that place. By stripping the language down to its absolute bare bones, they inadvertently gave us this highly concentrated psychological profile of the city.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the city that Tom and Lily are exploring in this dialogue is Changsha. It's the capital of Hunan province in central China.
And just from how they describe it, we're looking at a place driven entirely by flavor, heat, and this really deep history.
Yeah, the overarching theme that emerges is a city defined by massive contradictions. I mean, the source describes it as passionate and spicy, but it's also a place where a 900-year-old academic tradition just sits right side by side with an all-night, hyper-modern street food culture.
But before we can untangle how those two extremes even coexist, we really have to look at the physical space for you guys. The geography of Changsha dictates so much of its personality.
It really does. It's all about the water. So the Shang River flows directly through the heart of the city.
And it is a remarkably wide body of water. It just completely bisects the urban sprawl.
But the river itself isn't even the main focal point, right? It's what is sitting right in the middle of it. Bisecting the river is this sprawling green landmass called Orange Isle, or Juzizu in Chinese.
And that name isn't just poetic. Historically, the island was actually completely overgrown with wild orange trees.
Just a massive strip of wild citrus floating in the middle of a major metropolis. It's kind of wild to picture. Today, I know it's a bit more manicured.
Yeah, today the island functions as this sprawling 2-kilometer-long public park.
2 kilometers long, that is huge.
It's so massive that it requires its own internal transportation network. Like, they have small sightseeing trains and carts just to move people through all the gardens and traditional temples.
But the defining feature, the thing you absolutely cannot miss if you're there, it sits at the very tip of the island.
Right, the monument. At the end of Orange Isle is a gigantic 32-meter-tall statue of a young Mao Zedong.
And it offers these sweeping views of the entire city and the Xiang River. But wait, when you say 32 meters, for context for the listener, we are talking about roughly the size of a 10-story building.
Yeah, a 10-story structure.
A 10-story stone, head and shoulders, just sitting out in the middle of a river, staring down the city. I do wonder about the urban planning here, though.
How do you mean?
Well, usually when a city wants to showcase a monument of that staggering scale, they place it in a massive downtown plaza. Somewhere pedestrians can walk right up to the base of it every single day.
Right, like a traditional city square.
Yeah. Isolating it on a river island just seems a bit counterintuitive for a major landmark. Why put something that massive on an island instead of a square?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the geography is actually doing all the heavy lifting for the architecture here. Think about what happens to monuments in rapidly developing megacities.
Oh, they just get swallowed up by new construction.
Exactly. You can place a 10-story statue in a prominent downtown square, but give it 20 years, and it gets entirely dwarfed by 50-story commercial skyscrapers. It just gets lost in the urban canyon.
It basically just becomes street-level decoration at that point. You can't even see it from a few blocks away.
Right. But by utilizing a 2-kilometer island as the foundation, the city turned that island into a natural pedestal. The water of the Xiang River creates this permanent, unbuildable buffer of negative space.
Oh, wow. Because no developer can ever build a skyscraper right next to it in the water.
Exactly. It forces the entire city on both the east and west banks of the river to constantly look at it. The flowing water essentially serves as the blank, white walls of an art gallery, preserving that sightline forever.
That makes perfect sense. The river protects the scale. And frankly, walking a 2-kilometer island just to take in that scale, navigating those gardens, it demands a lot of physical energy.
Which brings up a hearty appetite.
Exactly. Which bridges us perfectly to the next massive piece of the Changsha puzzle. We have to move from the visual scale of the city to the sensory overload of its food.
And the culinary identity of Hunan province is incredibly distinct. Anyone familiar with Chinese cuisine knows it varies wildly by region, right? But Hunan's spice profile operates in its own unique category entirely.
The source dialogue actually makes a point of clarifying this for the listener. The character Lily asks, spicy food, like Sichuan spicy.
And Tom immediately corrects her, because Sichuan cuisine is famous globally for that numbing, tingling sensation.
Oh yeah, mala flavor from the Sichuan peppercorn.
Exactly. But Hunan spicy is specifically described in our sources as fresh and strong.
Fresh and strong. That's an interesting way to put it.
It is a crucial culinary distinction. It means the cuisine relies heavily on fresh chili peppers, raw garlic, and really sharp shallots, rather than dried spices or the numbing properties of those peppercorns.
So it's more of a direct, bright, assertive heat?
Yes, it doesn't numb your palate to the pain. It actually wakes your palate up so you feel every single solitary note of the spice.
It wakes it up and then completely challenges your preconceptions of what food should even look and smell like. Because the ultimate local street food specialty that utilizes this fresh and strong profile is something locals have been eating and perfecting for hundreds of years.
Stinky tofu.
Yes, stinky tofu. And I'll be honest, the name alone is a significant psychological hurdle for most travelers. I mean, black, stinky, deep-fried tofu.
It is definitely a hurdle. The preparation process is intense.
I balked when I first read it. We're talking about tofu that is fermented and then deep fried until the exterior turns completely pitch black and crispy while the inside remains soft.
And it's served steaming hot, usually cracked open, and just smothered in that aggressive, fresh, and strong chili sauce and green onions.
The visual of a pitch black, jagged cube covered in bright red chilies is intimidating enough, but the smell, it is notoriously pungent.
It is intensely pungent. Fermentation creates these really complex, challenging aromas that often signal danger to an unfamiliar palate.
But we see this phenomenon across cultures, right? Think about some of the most luxurious, highly sought-after ingredients in the world. A wheel of authentic French blue cheese smells incredibly aggressive.
Truffles basically smell like damp, decaying earth and garlic.
Exactly. Or durian in Southeast Asia, which is literally banned on public transit because of its odor. The smell is a barrier to entry, but once you get past it, the flavor profile is usually this absolute masterpiece of umami and complexity.
What's fascinating here is how the physical structure of the stinky tofu actually mirrors the broader culture of Changsha.
Oh, I love that comparison. How so?
Well, you have this forbidding name, the intense fermented aroma, the literal pitch black, shattering crispy exterior. All of it serves as a defense mechanism. But once you break through that crispy shell, the interior is surprisingly soft, porous, and complex.
It acts like a sponge, right? Absorbing all that bright, fiery chili sauce.
Exactly. It demands that you engage with it boldly. You really cannot be a timid eater in this city.
You just have to fully commit. And for the people of Changsha, that commitment doesn't end when the sun goes down. Stinky tofu is largely a street snack.
Right. It's just the appetizer.
Yeah. So when we look at how this fresh and strong energy translates into the nighttime economy, Changsha shifts into a completely different gear. The dialogue explicitly frames Changsha as a city that never sleeps.
It maintains an incredibly loud, vibrant pulse well into the early hours of the morning, which is distinctly tied to its food culture.
The engine of this nightlife is a dish the source material literally translates as legendary. Spicy crayfish.
Legendary spicy crayfish.
Yeah, these small lobsters cooked in massive industrial-sized woks with just staggering amounts of chili peppers and local spices. Every single night, the city's night markets are packed shoulder to shoulder with thousands of people eating mountains of fiery red crayfish and drinking cold beer.
It completely redefines the concept of a 24-hour city.
It really does. When we hear the phrase, the city that never sleeps, the default associations are places like New York or Tokyo.
Driven by coffee and taxis.
Exactly. The energy in those cities feels fundamentally different. A night in New York is fueled by espresso, ambition, people working late-night shifts in finance or tech. It's an anxious, highly productive, almost solitary energy.
Right, everyone is kind of in their own bubble.
Yeah, but here in Changsha, the fuel keeping the city awake isn't caffeine. It's chili peppers, shellfish, and communal beer.
It really raises an important question about the social function of food. Because eating spicy crayfish is intensely manual labor. You have to physically crack and peel every single one with your bare hands.
Oh, and your hands get completely coated in spicy chili oil and shell fragments.
Which means, and this is key, you physically cannot interact with your smartphone. You cannot be checking work emails, scrolling social media, or getting distracted by a screen.
Wow, that is such a great point. It physically stops you from zoning out.
You are forced to be entirely present in the physical space, making eye contact with the people sitting across the folding table from you. It's not just a late-night meal to soak up alcohol, it's a vital social anchor. The heat of the food facilitates the warmth of the community.
I absolutely love that observation. The food itself is basically an anti-doom scrolling device. It forces human connection. It forces you to be loud and engaged.
And messy.
Yes, very messy. So we have this picture of an ultra-modern, all-night, neon-lit party culture where people are cracking lobster shells until 3 a.m. It sounds like the ultimate modern hedonistic playground. But here is where the story pivots hard into those massive contradictions we talked about earlier. The city is not a new invention.
Not at all. Its roots are remarkably ancient. Sitting quietly amidst all of this late-night chaos and modern vitality is the YueLu Academy.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. YueLu Academy is over 900 years old.
Which makes it one of the oldest operating universities in all of China and, frankly, the world.
To contextualize that timeline for you, 900 years ago, Europe was deep in the Middle Ages. The printing press was still centuries away from even being invented.
Yet in Changsha, this academy was already functioning as an elite, established center for advanced learning, philosophy, and classical literature.
And the detail from our sources that stands out the most is that YueLu Academy is not a museum.
Right, it's not a ruin.
No. It isn't a preserved collection of ruins where tourists quietly walk past dusty plaques. It is still an active, functioning academic institution today. Modern university students are currently enrolled and studying there.
It is a living, breathing continuation of thought. If you step back and look at the city as a whole, YueLu Academy provides the essential grounding force for Changsha.
Just imagine the cognitive dissonance, or maybe it's the perfect harmony of being a 20-year-old student there today.
It would be incredible.
You spend your Tuesday afternoon sitting in a 900-year-old wooden courtyard, studying modern calculus or classical philosophy in the exact same physical space where generations of scholars have debated for nearly a millennium.
There's a profound, heavy silence to that kind of academic rigor.
Right. And then at 11 p.m., you close your laptop, you walk a few blocks down the street to a neon-lit night market, roll up your sleeves, and eat blisteringly spicy crayfish in a screaming crowd of people.
That is the synthesis that defines the city. Because without the deep, quiet roots of the academy, Changsha runs the risk of just being a superficial party town.
Yeah, just another nightlife destination.
Exactly. But without the chaotic, spicy energy of the night markets, the city might just feel like a sleepy historical relic frozen in time. The strict ancient intellectualism and the messy modern hedonism don't cancel each other out, they actually validate each other.
They create a complete ecosystem. I love that. We've mapped out the physical space with Orange Isle, the culinary heat of the stinky tofu and crayfish, and the intellectual weight of YueLu Academy.
It's a very full picture.
It is, but I want to circle back to the very nature of our source material, that ESL dialogue, because it offers one final piece of evidence about how this ecosystem functions.
Ah, you're talking about the specific vocabulary words chosen for the lesson.
Exactly. We discussed earlier how restrictive an ESL curriculum has to be. Think about a standard beginner language class you might have taken. You are usually taught highly generic, universal survival words.
Right, like, where is the bathroom? Or, I need a taxi.
Yes, or how much does the hotel cost? The goal is usually just baseline logistical survival in a foreign place.
But the curriculum designers for this specific module chose a wildly different lexicon for surviving Changsha.
The source highlights 5 crucial words for the traveler: isle, statue, legendary, crispy, academy.
I mean, it reads more like the ingredients for a fantasy novel than a travel guide.
It really does. Instead of teaching generic nouns like hotel or bus, the The ultimate toolkit for navigating the city requires the words legendary and crispy.
And if you look at the practical phrases the source advises travelers to memorize, it's so telling.
Oh, absolutely. It completely skips "where's the embassy?"
Yeah.
in favor of things like "how do I get to Orange Isle?"
Or where can I try the best stinky tofu?
Yes. And what time does YueLu Academy open? How much is a crayfish meal for two? And is there an English guide at the academy?
Those vocabulary choices reveal the strict priorities of the culture. The curriculum designers inherently understood something vital here.
What's that?
That knowing how to haggle for a crayfish meal, or knowing the word to request the crispiest stinky tofu, is deemed just as vital to your existence in Changsha as figuring out how to navigate the 900-year-old halls of YueLu.
It puts street food and high academia on the exact same pedestal. I think that's brilliant. You don't just need directions to get around Changsha, you need the specific adjectives to participate in its passions.
This is a beautiful distillation of the city's values, really.
So, what does this all mean when we put the pieces together? We started with a beginner's travel dialogue and ended up with a masterclass in urban contradictions. It's a city that fundamentally refuses to be categorized as just one thing.
It proves that a city can honor its ancient ghosts while fully indulging in the present moment.
You can immerse yourself in 9 centuries of quiet academic history by day. You can hike across a 2-kilometer island in the middle of a massive river just to stand under the shadow of a 10-story monument.
And then, as the sun sets,
you dive headfirst into the chaotic night markets, eating pitch-black tofu and legendary crayfish until dawn, surrounded by the noise and heat of a city fueled by spice.
it is a city built on fire, passion, and incredibly deep roots.
Truly. So whether you are literally packing your bags for a trip to central China right now, or you are just joining us for some armchair exploration today, Changsha really expands our definition of what an urban landscape can be.
It's a reminder that the best cities aren't just coordinates on a map.
No, they are sensory experiences that demand your active participation.
And as we wrap up this exploration, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to ponder on your own. We've talked extensively today about the relationship between the people of Changsha and their intensely fiery food. But causality is rarely that simple.
Oh, where are you going with this?
Does the city's food dictate its energy, or does the energy dictate the food?
Oh, wow. It's the ultimate cultural chicken or the egg scenario.
Exactly. When you look at the profile of Changsha, ask yourself, did the fresh and strong, aggressively spicy cuisine literally forge a restless, passionate population that just refuses to sleep? Or did a naturally vibrant, outgoing community simply demand a culinary tradition that was as bold, loud, and unapologetic as they are?
Is the city spicy because of the food, or is the food spicy because of the city?
It's definitely something to mull over the next time you bite into something that forces you to be entirely present.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope it sparked your curiosity, challenged how you look at travel guides, and, well, maybe it made you a little hungry too. We will catch you on the next one.